You're listening to This Week in Big Sky Football, a comprehensive look at all this week's action in Big Sky Football. Now here's your host, Scott Garrard.
Down the home stretch we come. Welcome on in. It's another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football as we get ready for the final week of the regular season. Get this, 6 teams remain in contention for a playoff spot, while 4 teams remain in contention to win the Big Sky Conference's automatic bid to the FCS playoffs. We got a packed show for you today to celebrate what should be a crazy ending to the season. First, Cal Poly coach Tim Walsh will stop by. Then we'll catch up with Idaho State receiver Madison Mangum. And then Craig Haley from Stats joins us in our final segment to try to make a little sense of this mess that we're in. Plus, we got all the playoff scenarios. We'll talk about postseason individual honors as well. But let's start with a recap of previous weekend's action, starting with games in the game in Grand Forks, where North Dakota defeated Northern Colorado 45-14. UND freshman running back John Santiago rushing for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half, and UND stays alive in the hunt for an at-large bid for the FCS playoffs. Montana picking up a dominating win over Eastern Washington, 57-16 on Root Sports. Grizzlies defensive end Tyrone Holmes with 3 sacks in the game as Montana also capped off a fumble return and an interception return. Grizzly running back Jeremy Calhoun also scored 3 short yardage touchdowns in the first half as Montana stays alive in its quest for a Big Sky title. Portland State with a marquee win over the weekend, knocking off Southern Utah 24-23. 2 of the league's best defenses faced off in the Rose City, but it was Portland State who rose to the occasion, forcing 3 turnovers. Portland State defensive back Xavier Coleman with 2 goal line interceptions as the Vikings get their 7th Division I win, improving their playoff candidacy. They're also alive for that Big Sky title. Montana State earns a 44-20 victory over Idaho State. Bobcats earned their first road win of the season. MSU kicker Luke Daly made 3 field goals, including his school record 57-yarder. Cats cruised to a victory in Pocatello. Northern Arizona rode quarterback Case Kukas to a win as the Lumberjacks down Sac State 49-35. Kukas 6 touchdown passes, ran for another as Northern Arizona still alive for a playoff bid and a chance at the Big Sky outright title. And finally, Cal Poly picks up a win over UC Davis 55-38, winning the battle for the Golden Horseshoe. Cal Poly quarterback Chris Brown throwing for 3 touchdowns, caught a touchdown pass, rushed for a touchdown in that win. So with that, let's go out to the phones. Welcome in the head coach of the Cal Poly Mustangs, Tim Walsh, joins us. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. We're at practice right now. So
oh, nice.
North Dakota.
Well, I always love those look-ins on practice. Hey, how about this? We were just talking about that line. You got a player throwing for, rushing for, and catching a touchdown pass. That's a tremendous day at the office for that young man.
That's the second time he did it. He did it against Weaver State last year, and he did it against Davis this year, and all the plays were well executed. Obviously, on offense, which for most of the year, we've been pretty darn good on the offensive side of the football. And Chris is the guy that makes it all happen, and I think he's a tremendous player. And without him, who knows where we'd be.
Yeah. Tell us about what kind of young man is he around your team, both on and off the field as a leader, and also we know what he can do once he gets on the field as well.
Well, he's got tremendous skills as far as leadership goes. He's vocal. He is vocal leader. He's not the guy that just leads by example. He leads with his emotions, and he wears his emotions on his sleeves. And it's been fun because of the difficulties we had in the 3-game stretch where we probably outplayed 3 consecutive opponents and lost to Eastern Washington with a 15-point lead with 5 minutes to go in the game. Portland State, Chris couldn't play, but was there. It was great passion and was out because of a concussion, and we fumbled the ball away 3 times, and then Southern Utah we fumbled the ball 4 times for 4 touchdowns, where we didn't even get a chance to play defense. And in reality, those 3 games were tough to deal with. Chris Brown and his leadership gave us the opportunity to come back and win 2 in a row, and we'll shoot for 3 in a row this week because of the type of young man that he is, and I think it's been contagious to our team.
Your team, it's had its ups and downs this year. You've gone through some struggles, but one thing that's really impressed me, your team never has appeared to quit. What do you attribute that want-to attitude from?
Well, I think we have great young men on our team, and I think we have a great, like I said, the leadership of our seniors has been outstanding. We only have 14 of them, but they've been outstanding all the way through it. I really do believe, and I think our players believe, that we are probably one of the best teams in the Big Sky, but when you fumble the ball uncharacteristically 12 times, that gave up over 40 points in a 2-3-week period that cost you football games. I think that they understand that they have to show how good they are and that we are maybe one of the best teams by how we finish. And that's all we have left to do is try to go 3-0 and finish with the 3-game winning streak and set the tone for the future. So I think our senior leadership's been real key.
You got Southern Utah atop the conference standings. Then you got a logjam of 4 teams at 5-2. You played these teams outside of Northern Arizona. How do you think this shakes out? I mean, if you could look in your crystal ball, with your experience playing these teams, how would you, if you could, handicap this logjam atop the conference?
Well, it's difficult for us because of what we run on offense. And, we played Southern Utah, and they were giving up 89 yards a game rushing, and we had 535 yards rushing. So it's hard to tell if that's our offense or if that's who they are. I think defensively in the league, and I've said this to Ed Lamb, I've said it to Bruce Barnum, I've said it to every coach I've talked to, the team that plays the best defense is going to win this league. And, I really do believe that Southern Utah is extremely talented on defense. I think Portland State's extremely talented on defense. I think Montana is extremely talented on defense. And then you throw North Dakota into that mix, too, even though they can't win it. I think those 4 teams really have proven that defense can win championships. In this league, almost everybody plays great offense. So when you really start looking at Southern Utah as a huge game against Northern Arizona at home, that is a great opportunity for them to clinch it outright just by winning. And I would think that Ed Lamb will have his guys ready. And, that's probably the team that I would predict. I said emotionally, I probably have some ties to Portland State. Would love to see them win a championship. I think Bruce Barnum's done a tremendous job. But I really think that, Southern Utah's defense against Northern Arizona is a classic matchup of a great offense versus a really good defense.
Cal Poly coach Tim Walsh joins us here on This Week in Big Sky Football. All right, so you're practice now, getting ready for North Dakota, final game of the season. Of course, UND fighting for one of those playoff berths. What have you seen out of this team that really jumps out at you on film?
Number one, I think that they're one of the teams on defense. What they do is really good. What they believe in is really good. But the guys that are doing it, they're very good on defense. I love the passion that they play with. I like what they do schematically. They play with a lot of emotion and a lot of heart, plus they're very physical. But I really think that they've made a huge separation. They've improved offensively since the beginning. If you watch their games, and we have for games 1 through 10, significant change in performance by a lot of people, and particularly their offensive line, I think has improved tremendously. And the young running back, I think he's an incredible. He's a playmaker. I mean, that guy's. It's scary that he's going to be around for 3 more years. Santiago is a tremendous young player that we really have a lot of respect for, and are really not looking forward to playing against. Really, I mean, he has that type of speed where he can change a game by one mistake. You can play a great defensive game against him, make one mistake, and he'll make you pay with a 70-yard touchdown. And what they do is complicated with all the formations and unbalanced things they do on offense, and they really now seem to understand exactly what they're supposed to do and are playing with a lot of confidence.
Well, Coach, take it easy on those kids at practice. Not too many up and downs, all right?
We're trying not to. It's the last week. We're going to have some fun, but we're also getting ready to win a big game. I appreciate being on. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks so much. That's the head coach of Cal Poly, Tim Walsh, joins us here on This Week in Big Sky Football, joining us live from practice. All right, we'll come back. We'll announce our Root Sports Players of the Week. We'll also reveal our automatic bid scenarios in the Big Sky. You may want to get a pen and paper for this one because there might be a test at the end of the show. It's that confusing. And we'll also continue on as we have a chance to chat with Idaho State receiver Madison Mangum as well. It's all straight ahead. You're listening to another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football.
We play to win, but it's bigger than winning. It's about authenticity, being true to yourself, genuine dreams and a country big enough to fit them, values and hard work, giving your best and giving back, working together, building a tradition bigger than any one of us, and showing the world every day who we are and how we play. We're Big Sky. We are the heart of the American West.
In the NCAA Division I Football Championship Subdivision, the game is played with perseverance, integrity, passion, character, and sportsmanship. As he works to honor the game and respect his teammates, opponents, officials, and fans, every FCS player grows in his responsibilities as a student and as a member of his campus and community. Dedicated to personal growth and success in the classroom, the NCAA Division I FCS. Every down, every day.
Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football.
Welcome back. It's our final regular season edition of This Week in Big Sky Football. as we get you ready for the final week of the regular season. Remember, next week we'll have a special playoff edition of This Week in Big Sky Football. Idaho State receiver Madison Mangum will join us here in a moment, but before he does, let's get to a couple of we got some business to take care of. First off, our Root Sports Players of the Week. Let's start with Northern Arizona quarterback Case Kukas, your Root Sports Offensive Player of the Week. Kukas accounted for 7 touchdowns in NAU's win over Sacramento State 49-35. Montana defensive end Tyrone Holmes and Montana State cornerback Xavier Coleman are this week's Root Sports Co-Defensive Players of the Week. Holmes with 3 sacks in a win over Eastern Washington. Coleman with 2 interceptions in a win over Southern Utah. And finally, Montana State kicker Luke Daly is your Root Sports Special Teams Player of the Week. Daly with 3 field goals, including a career-long 57-yarder in the Bobcats win over Idaho State. We teased it earlier, so let's get you some scenarios for each team to earn Big Sky automatic bids. If Southern Utah beats Northern Arizona, the Thunderbirds will receive the outright conference title and the league's bid. They'll be co-champs regardless of this weekend's results, but can only win the bid with a win. If Portland State beats Eastern Washington and Northern Arizona beats Southern Utah, the Vikings will receive the automatic bid. If Montana beats Montana State, Northern Arizona beats Southern Utah, and Eastern Washington beats Portland State, then your Grizzlies will get the league's automatic bid. And finally, yes, there's more. If Northern Arizona beats Southern Utah, Montana State beats Montana, Eastern Washington beats Portland State, then the Lumberjacks will receive the league's automatic bid. Clear as mud? Yeah, okay. Well, remember, visit BigSkyConf.com during the entire weekend. They'll have all the updated scenarios and tiebreakers as well. All right, let's go out to the phones and welcome in Idaho State receiver Madison Mangum. Madison, how are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Thanks for carving out a few moments for us. It's been a little bit of an up and down season for you guys. You started off hot. You had some struggles. You're picking up a surprising road win against North Dakota, though. Tell us a little bit about this bumpy road you guys have been on this year.
Yeah, it's obviously been pretty disappointing for us. We came in with really high hopes this season and hopes to make a run at the playoffs, and obviously that's faded. But obviously we have to keep on fighting. Like you said, we got that win against North Dakota. We even gave Montana, a run in overtime last week, and probably should have come out with a win. But even though it's been bumpy, we're still fighting, and we're still having fun over here.
Does that say a lot about your team, that even though maybe the season hasn't gone the way you'd like, first off, you're still having a great time playing the game of football, and second of all, you guys are still trying to take care of business week in and week out?
Yep. Yes, sir. And that's the thing about football is you got to come every week to play. You can compete. It's a fun game. We enjoy playing it. And even though we've lost a lot of games, it's still it's still our passion. We still love playing this game.
Your coach is one of the most tenured, respected, and certainly one of the most popular coaches in the Big Sky, that being Mike Kramer. What's he like to be around on a daily basis?
Well, he sure has a lot of fire and a lot of passion.
Yeah.
He's a coach that will get after you if you're not doing what he wants, and I think he has so much passion for the game that he'll get into you, and I think overall we enjoy it. Just he brings so much energy and enthusiasm to the game. He's definitely a coach I've never had this type of coach before in my life, and he's definitely got a lot of fire, a lot of passion.
Mm-hmm. You're kind of a hometown kid there in that area. What's it like playing for a team that I'm sure you grew up going to a lot of those games?
Well, it's funny. To be honest, I actually did not come to a lot of games.
Oh, really?
Here. I'm from Boise, and kind of grew up a Boise State fan, and grew up going to a lot of those games. But at the same time, it's nice being close. Pocatello is about a 3-hour drive from Boise, and so thankfully my family is able to come out to a lot of the games. In fact, every single home game they've been able to make it, and so it's been fun playing close to home. And we actually played Boise State earlier this year at Boise, which also was a ton of fun to play in front of the home crowd.
You've got a big game against Weber State. It's a rivalry game. Weber State has improved a lot this season. What do the Bengals have to do to get a victory against the Wildcats this weekend?
Well, it's all about executing and avoiding turnovers. That's been our Achilles heel this year. Has been turnovers. Our turnover margin is not good, and so if we can avoid that and sustain drives and put up points, I think we can play with anybody in this conference as long as we do that. We have the talent, we have the ability. It's just been a matter of putting together drives. And so I think if we do that, and obviously Weaver's a good team. They've had some good games. They had a great upset against Montana the other week, and so we respect them. We know they're going to come to play, and we're just going to do our best to leave this season, leave the 2015 season with a win.
You obviously come from a football family. Of course, you're at Idaho State. You got family members playing at BYU. What's it like around the when things kind of settle down in the off season around the table Sunday dinner? Do you guys talk football, or do you try to get away from it a little bit?
Oh, I think we talk a little bit about football, but I think overall we do kind of, I guess, maybe take a break from it, steer away from it. We have a lot of siblings, doing big things with their lives, and so we'll talk about other things, but we'll certainly, Tanner, who's playing down at BYU, and myself, we'll continue to train and work hard and do our best in the off season, but yeah, that's kind of what it's like.
Well, hey, we appreciate it, Madison. Thanks for your time. Good luck this weekend.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's Idaho State receiver Madison Mangum. Hey, when we return, we'll look at all the upcoming weekend games, and we'll be joined by the sage of FCS football. That's right, Stats Craig Haley breaks it all down for us. We'll take a look at potential playoff seedings. We'll take a look at top 4 seeds. We'll even put him on the spot once again and get his top 5 in his personal ranking. It's all coming up next when we return for another segment of This Week in Big Sky Football.
In the NCAA Division I Football Championship Subdivision, the game is played with perseverance, integrity, passion, character, and sportsmanship. As he works to honor the game and respect his teammates, opponents, officials, and fans, every FCS player grows in his responsibilities as a student and as a member of his campus and community. Dedicated to personal growth and success in the classroom, the NCAA Division I FCS. Every down, every day.
We play to win, but it's bigger than winning. It's about authenticity, being true to yourself, genuine dreams and a country big enough to fit them, values and hard work, giving your best and giving back, working together, building a tradition bigger than any one of us, and showing the world every day who we are and how we play. We're Big Sky. We are the heart of the American West.
Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football.
And welcome back. It's the final segment of This Week in Big Sky Football. Just as a reminder, we'll have an episode next week to get you ready for the first round of the playoffs. So make sure to join us next week for a playoff edition of This Week in Big Sky Football. All right, let's take a look at this weekend's upcoming games. First, a non-conference matchup between Northern Colorado and Abilene Christian. It's a noon kickoff in Greeley, and it's available on watchbigsky.com. Idaho State will travel to Weber State, where the Wildcats are looking to finish with a winning record for the first time since Ron McBride did it back in 2010. That game will kick off at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. You can watch it on KJazz TV as well as watchbigsky.com. Northern Arizona traveling to Southern Utah for the Grand Canyon rivalry. This one will be a big one, folks. It kicks off at 3 p.m. Mountain on watchbigsky.com. Remember, if the Thunderbirds win, they are the outright Big Sky champs, and they will receive the league's automatic bid. Portland State and Eastern Washington will kick off at 2:05 Pacific Time on SWX and watchbigsky.com with the Dam Cup on the line. Eastern Washington needs a win here to bolster their at-large bid hopes, while Portland State has a chance at the Big Sky title. UC Davis and Sacramento State playing the Causeway Classic at 2:30 Pacific Time on kickoff time on Comcast Sportsnet as well as watchbigsky.com. North Dakota will travel to Cal Poly in a big-time matchup on watchbigsky.com. Kickoff there is at 6:05 Pacific as UND tries to bolster their playoff resume. And Root Sports, of course, your official television partner of the Big Sky Conference. This week's Big Sky football game on Root Sports features the Brawl of the Wild. You know what we're talking about. Montana travels to Montana State. Kickoff is at 12:10 Mountain Time and is available nationally on Root Sports as well as DirecTV's Audience Network. And remember, fans, get involved in the Root Sports broadcast by using hashtag WhereIRoot as well as hashtag Brawl of of the Wild. Get involved in the broadcast and the conversation. Make sure to use those hashtags and make sure your voice is heard. All right, let's get out to the phones. Welcome in the man, the myth, the legend, all of FCS football, Craig Haley from Stats. Craig, how are you?
I'm doing well, and I wrote down my top 5 this week in case you asked me. Okay. I'm not going to let you stump me this time.
I'm not going to. All right, I wasn't even going to put you on the spot, but now we're going to do it. All right, so let's start though with the Big Sky Conference. There are so many scenarios here, but let's kind of look into the future next week at this time. How do you think this whole thing shakes out?
I say 4 for sure for the Big Sky. I think 5 is still a possibility with those 5 top teams, depending on how it goes. I mean, no matter what, you want to win this week. I think Portland State may be the only one who's secure here with 4 top 25 wins. The FBS wins. I don't think you want to be losing this weekend.
Probably a good way to put it, no doubt about it. So let's look at Southern Utah. If they lose to Northern Arizona, the Thunderbirds would be co-champs, but still might miss the playoffs. Could that realistically happen?
I think so. I mean, depending on how these games. I mean, it's a great way for the Big Sky to finish its season. I do think, they want to see Southern Utah wants to win, obviously, but if they don't, they want to see Eastern Washington lose. They want to see Montana lose. They know they don't have a head-to-head tiebreaker with Portland State as far as looking at resumes, and they won it with Northern Arizona with the loss. So I'm a little worried for them. I mean, they've had a great year, the Thunderbirds, but yes, I think they want to go out and win and just go in, with the automatic bid if possible.
So if you're a team from another conference and you're up against a Big Sky team in that first round, who's the team you don't want to play in the playoffs right now?
Wow. After last weekend, you would certainly say Montana, but yeah. I'm going to stick with Portland State having the best season here. I think their defense has been, so solid. They've shown that they can do this against a good quality schedule. I wouldn't want to have to play them, especially going to their place, all the excitement with Barney Ball. But, I mean, you can make... With that question, you can have several different answers. I mean, it's just been a great year for these top teams in the Big Sky.
With the win over Eastern Washington, do you think Portland State could be deserving of a first-round bye if things shake out that way?
I give them the best shot here. Even if Southern Utah wins the automatic bid, I think Portland State would have that head-to-head. They'd have a little bit stronger schedule. They would have 9 wins if they beat Eastern Washington. I do think they're in the mix. They probably want to see, say, a South Dakota State lose this week, or one of the CAA teams. That's a possibility. I think there's like 4 or 5 teams you could say they have seeds pretty much, locked up if they go out and win this week. And then you can make the case for about 8 teams for 4 spots. So I do think the Big Sky's in that mix with Portland State. Maybe, maybe not.
Let's look at some postseason award lists, and I want to look at 2 specifically in your mind. Is there a better Freshman of the Year candidate than NAU quarterback Case Kukas? And is there a better Coach of the Year candidate than Barney Ball himself, Bruce Barnum at Portland State?
It's going to be hard to not select them, that's for sure. I mean, John Santiago has been outstanding. He's probably the second best freshman, but Case Cook is, setting a freshman record for touchdown passes already with more action to go. His efficiency is unbelievable. I mean, to just step in and do what he's done as a freshman, with veteran players around him. But, Bruce Barnum, I mean, from day one, everybody's been in his corner knowing he's an interim coach at that point, and then they go out and beat Washington State, and then it just builds from there. There are great candidates out there, but you're right. Those are right there at the top of the list, those 2.
Obviously he ends up getting that contract, but you can tell every time we talk to coaches and anytime we talk to his players, there is such a love for Bruce Barnum. And boy, I tell you what, I don't know if you've had any interaction with the man. He's a tremendous interview, but it's hard not to root for a guy like that who ends up having some success at this level.
He'll tell you what he's thinking. He doesn't, doesn't coach. He doesn't talk in coach speak, which can annoy people at times. And he's a funny guy, and it's just, yes, he's well liked in his profession, no doubt.
All right, so let's get to that top 5. Who is, now forget about the stats poll, forget about the coaches poll. Who is the Craig Haley top 5 in the Craig Haley poll?
Jacksonville State 1, North Dakota State 2, Illinois State, McNeese State 4, 5, Coastal Carolina.
What's McNeese State's undefeated? How come people aren't buying in on them a little bit more?
Well, they haven't played the toughest schedule. Their first game of the year was at LSU, and it got canceled by inclement weather.
That's correct.
So they're 9-1. They're actually trying to complete a 10-0 season against a 2,000-yard rusher down at Lamar, Cade Harrington, this weekend. The Southland's been good, not great. Sam Houston's been a little disappointing. So I think that's why people haven't quite bought in. They are number 3 in the poll. I just happen to have them number 4 on my ballot.
So if you also to look in the future, who are your top 4 teams that get the bye?
I think Jacksonville State, they should win this weekend against Murray State. North Dakota State, I think, has earned it as the 4-time champ, and they would win the automatic bid if they win this weekend, and they will against Missouri State. I think I like Illinois State, but they also don't have the head-to-head against South Dakota State, so you could possibly go South Dakota State 3, Illinois State 4, and then I think McNeese, as long as they finish undefeated, they have to be in the top 5 here.
Interesting. Craig, awesome stuff as always, man. We look forward to catching up with you next week, previewing the upcoming playoffs. Enough of this crystal ball nonsense. Next week we'll know, and we'll be able to break down individual games and look at the bracket a little bit more. But thanks again for all your help this season.
All right. Enjoy the weekend, too, Scott.
You got it. That is the man, Craig Haley from Stats, taking a look at the Big Sky Conference and, of course, the national perspective as well. Big thanks to him for joining us this week. He'll join us again next week and, of course, throughout the season as well. Also, big thanks to Cal Poly coach Tim Walsh and Idaho State receiver Madison Mangum. Also, big thanks to Austin Horton and the executive producer of This Week in Big Sky Football, John Oglesby. Hey, I'm Scott Garrard. Hey, make sure to get all your coverage of the final week of the regular season. It's going to be crazy, folks. There's going to be games going right down to the wire. Playoff seating's up for grabs. You can get everything online at Big Sky's Facebook and Twitter pages, as well as BigSkyConf.com. Follow those accounts. Get to the website. Get all your latest up-to-the-minute scores, as well as the playoff seedings as well. And be back with us next week for a special playoff edition of This Week in Big Sky Football.